Happy Spiritual Sunday! Spiritual Sunday from the Boca Raton Kabbalah Center. Well, why don't we start with our affirmation? So those of you online, here it is. For those of you who are new watching us, the key of this is we know, as we're about to say, consciousness is everything. And so the more we insert the right consciousness in our head, the right perspective, the truth of what's going on in the world, and really open our eyes, then we'll be able to change not only our own life, but the world around us. So every week as we do this, we want to be engraving deeper and deeper in our heart and our soul this truth and this action. So we'll say it together. Consciousness is everything. I raise my consciousness today to see the miracles and wonders of life. I commit myself to behave with greater love, compassion, and kindness towards all human beings. Now, as we're about to talk about, it seems to be getting more and more difficult to do that, which is why it's all the more essential that not only on Sundays are we doing it, but we should be making an effort, either this or something that will be similar to that in your mind. And so I just want to kind of preface, as we said, consciousness is everything. So I want just to put it out there, especially if you're new, that what we're about to talk about really is not a political statement. It's not just about what's happened recently, because we'll talk about that too in the Middle East. But I want us to understand a different consciousness. Sometimes, we take things so for granted that we overlook them. It's the typical thing, at least as I was growing up, my parents used to drag us to different people's house for whatever, a dinner or some social event or whatever. And as kids, you're always wide-eyed looking in their cabinets and things like that. They have things on display. And it always interested me every now and then when we point out something in the cabinet, like a display cabinet. So, what was this and this and this? And you could see the people who own the house that's probably been there for years and years and years. And they go, oh, I forgot all about that. It's right in front of them. It's right in their living room or dining room, whatever it is. But they so get used to it that they don't even realize or remember it's there until somebody comes to point it out. Or, should I tell you the kids one? You go over to your friend's house, and of course you're playing with the kids in the house. And then all of a sudden you point out one of the toys, oh, I would love to have that. And suddenly, if it was the one in the back of the closet, the kid whose house it was, all of a sudden that's their favorite toy. Because they know if you're saying it, it's almost like you're saying, will you give it to me? Can I have it? Right? So the same thing, they take it for granted, back of the closet, this and this, until somebody points it out, and then suddenly we wake up. So I want us to start, some of you may remember if you had it in the classes, but let's just ask a simple question. What is the Middle East? We've heard a lot about it for years and years and years, and unfortunately, in one way, more intensively the last, month or so, couple months. But do you ever stop and ask, what is the Middle East? What is it? East. East is a direction. The middle is the middle of something. Did you ever stop and ask why that area is called the Middle East? What's it the middle of? Is it really the middle of the earth? See here, consciousness. Is it the middle of the earth? Yes, it is. But Boca Raton is also the middle of the earth. Right? China is also the middle of the earth. In other words, any point you pick, you could say, if you go around the world, that's the middle of the world. Could you not? Any point you pick, you can make, because it's all relative. The middle is relative to the two ends. Is it not? Something like that. So where do you start and where do you finish? So this is what I want to bring up, because it's about understanding spiritually. You and I have learned, and those of you who may be new but studied any form of spirituality, everything starts in the upper world, the spiritual world, and then it takes form in the physical world. Simple example is, you're thirsty. That's, even though it's relative to the physical world, but it's invisible. I really can't look at you or you look at me and tell if we're thirsty or not. So it's something more invisible, metaphysical. So how do you know, in simple terms, that I was thirsty? You see me go to the sink, to the refrigerator or something, and get something to drink. Then you're assuming basically I was thirsty or had a desire for that. But you didn't see the desire, you didn't see the thirst. So we have to start waking up and say, wait, on a spiritual level, why is that place called the Middle East? So I want to just start with a few things in your mind. First of all, let's start with something the Kabbalists call the three-column system. And the three-column system, again, is a spiritual construct that manifests in the physical world. So just that you'll start to see the truth of that, because we like to have at least some kind of validation. What's a fundamental structure, stable structure of matter? Physical matter. Proton, neutron, electron. Anything less than that, you try and break down the proton, neutron, electron, it's not stable. So the fundamental stability of physical matter, three pieces: proton, neutron, and electron. If you look at it, if you still remember, an incandescent light bulb. What made the light bulb work? Three columns: positive pole, negative pole, and the filament in between. Allowed the light to glow long term. So the Kabbalists say in the spiritual level, there's something called the three-column system. And where did it start? In the endless world. Some of you are familiar. In the endless world, the Creator created us as vessels. Desire to receive complete fulfillment from the light of the Creator. The vessel was tuned, meaning our soul is tuned to want the light of the Creator for lasting fulfillment. And our soul then was filled with the light of the Creator, which is the energy of sharing. And that's why in the physical world, light shines out everywhere. You turn on a light source, you light a match. Where does the illumination go? It goes outward. The nature of light is to share, is to go out of itself, to illuminate, to remove darkness. That's the nature. So now, you and I, the one soul in the endless world, has both natures. Desire to receive fulfillment and desire to share the light. So the only reason we, like the positive pole and the negative pole, or like the proton and the electron, two sides. So why do you need the neutron? Why do you have to have the filament? Because there has to be a balancing entity, a balancing energy between those two, because the two are opposite. Desire to receive is opposite of the desire to share. Positive pole and the negative pole are opposites. So there had to be something to balance. And that's the only purpose we came into this physical world, was to create a balance between our desire to receive and our ability to share. Because our inherent nature is desire to receive. What's the behavior of babies? Are they sharing with their parents? No, it's all give me, give me, give me, give me, give me. Toddlers, we can go on and on. Okay, yes, it says, even as adults, what's our inherent nature? I want, I want, I want. I want to be successful in life. I want to live in that place. I want to have that car. I want that person. I want this relationship. I want to be in this social club. Whatever it is, everything is I want, I want, I want. Inherently, that's not bad because the Creator created us to want fulfillment. But the issue is from the light, not from anything else. When we came down here in this world, now we've been given the ability to choose. When we left the endless world, our only purpose was to be able to balance our desire to receive and our desire to share. The inherent nature of the vessel that our soul is, and the inherent and the ability that was given to us by light filling us. Find the balance. So that balance, we call it the restriction. Right? You restrict your desire to receive and you act like the light. Now you're creating a circuitry so that the light goes out, projects in your life, removes chaos, and we experience greater blessing. But it's through the process of sharing our light, not through the process of just getting. We have enough experience if you're honest and objective with yourself and you look back, every time you wanted instant gratification or what we call reactive behavior, you got it. Instant gratification. But it's short term, it's short lived. You're excited, let's go with even a good one. You're excited, there's a big party, you've been invited to the party of the year. So of course, reactively, you got to show off. So you run to the store, you run to the mall, you buy the most expensive, fancy outfit. You go to the event, and the next day when you wake up, you look in the closet and go, oh my God, why did I do such a foolish thing? Well, what happened to the amazing fulfillment that you felt when you bought it, when you were there at the party and everybody was complimenting you? It disappeared. Why? Because it was based on desire to receive, not on sharing. And therefore, it can only be short term. So when you talk then about the middle of something, Kabbalistically, the middle corresponds to that balance of energy, the balance of desire to receive and desire to share. East, without giving you the whole direction energy, but east also, Kabbalistically, corresponds to that central column, that balance and circuitry of light. Because once you create the balance, once you pause your desire to receive oneself alone, your desire for instant gratification, that knee-jerk response when you're triggered, you pause and then you share your light, you've created the perfect balance and circuitry of light that will stay with you long-lasting. So that the east corresponds to that central column, middle corresponds to that central column. So then why is that general area over there called the Middle East? Because Kabbalistically, it is the energy center of the universe. Spiritually, the light comes out of the endless world, and it comes down through that area. Technically, Temple Mount, and then it spreads out to all the rest of the world. Okay, I hear some people. So again, you may accept it, may not. Let's think about it in something we're familiar with. Simple terms. Where does the energy come in the human body? Anybody knows about the chakras? Where does it come in? Top of the head. Top of the head, right? You have a thought. We say consciousness is everything, yes or yes? So the thought comes to you, and then whichever side you pick, the reactive or the proactive, but this thought starts here in the brain, and then where does it spread out? Through all the rest of the body to do that action, whether it's reactive or proactive. Person wants to scream and yell reactively, the thought came, that no good son of a gun, I'm going to scream and yell and put them in their place. The rest of the body is then energized to do that action. Or a person learns enough Kabbalah and is in that moment, even though they're triggered, pause and they think, no, I want to share the light. They're thinking, I don't want to be reactive, I want to be kind. So again, once it comes in, so to speak, the energy of the brain, then it flows through the rest of the body and they act with kindness. So the same way, the energy's got to come to the earth somewhere. And the Kabbalists just say, through what we call Temple Mount. That's why the story of the binding of Isaac, without giving you the whole biblical thing, that was on Temple Mount. The famous story of Jacob and the ladder, where he saw the angels going up and down like that, that was Temple Mount. And like my teachers, the Rav and Karen would always say, is Temple Mount, or the Rav basically would say, is Jerusalem the holy city because the temple was there? Or is the temple there because Jerusalem is the holy city? Meaning, to paraphrase it, where do you put an oil derrick? If you're drilling for oil, do you just put it in the middle of the Sahara somewhere where there's no oil field? Or do you find the oil field and then you put the instrument to bring the oil out of the ground? Only a fool would build an oil derrick, an oil well, in the middle of an empty lot somewhere that has no oil underground and expect oil to come out of it. So the temple was built there because that's where the energy is, and therefore the temple was the instrument to shine light to the entire world. Entire world. Should I say that again? Entire world. Like we say, all human beings. In fact, again, without going too much in it, there was a place, every human being that was on earth at that time, whether they were one of the 12 tribes or not, everybody had a place to connect to inside the Temple Mount. There was no one left out. There was no exclusive club. Because as we often remind ourselves, there's only one soul. And the technology of the soul is identical for everybody. How we use that technology, how we use the light inside of us, that's unique for us. That's our free will. But we have no free will how the soul operates. We have no free will on the laws of cause and effect. We have free will how to use and choose what comes back to us, but you have no choice over the law of cause and effect. Like we have no choice over the law of gravity. It is what it is. We just learn how to use it to our benefit and not to our detriment. So then the Middle East, so this is why, and then we understand, we put in our head to give us real free will and to truly feel successful and really essentially fulfilled or satisfied. We had to have an opponent, and we put that opponent in our head, that parasitic voice that opposes us. Don't share. Just go for reactive behavior. Get instant gratification. Look at them. Who are they? Fight with them. They're no good. Judge them. Be jealous and envious. That's the voice in our head that is giving us free choice. It's the two sides. You have on the right side spiritually, you have the voice of your soul, the true light and blessing, the voice of your soul that wants you to have all good. On the left side, you have the voice of that challenger, that opponent that wants to tempt you. And that's the job. Wherever there's going to be a revelation of light, that opponent has to sit there. I mean, think, okay, tennis. Anyone familiar with the game of tennis? So if you're playing somebody on the other side and they hit the ball, right, to your forehand, do you, and be careful because I know there are people who will say yes, do you run to the other side, make it that way? You run to the other side of the court to try and hit the ball? No, you go where the ball is because you want to beat your opponent. And the opponent wants to beat you. So when you hit the ball, whatever, to their right, they don't run to the left. They're going to go where the ball is. Because that opponent in our head is going to go where the light is. So every time we have an opportunity to reveal light, that's where the greatest light is, that's where the opponent's going to be. So now let's think, how long has there been conflict in the Middle East? Only a few thousand years. Since Adam and Eve. The Kabbalists teach us the Garden of Eden was there. If the energy center of the universe, where would paradise be? It would be sort of centered right there. So there we were, you and me as Adam and Eve. We did what we did to be thrown out. We made the stupid mistake of disconnecting from the light. We got thrown out. And what happened when we acted in a reactive way, disconnecting from the light? So, to use one of the movies that maybe you're familiar with, every time we are reactive, or as we were reactive collectively in the Garden of Eden, as we were all part of the souls of Adam and Eve, we reacted, the cloak of invisibility was put over the Garden of Eden. So as you and I look around, we say, oh, the Middle East doesn't look like the Garden of Eden, and especially with all the conflict for thousands of years, for sure it doesn't look like the Garden of Eden, because there's a cloak of invisibility that we put over it with that reactive stupidity of eating of the tree of knowledge, as it's called in its coded way, and separating from the tree of life, creating darkness. Turn the switch off on the wall, the light disappears, right? The light goes off, and we say now there's a cover of darkness. And that's what it is. It's a cover, because light is infinite, even physically. So it's only if we disconnect that darkness shows up. And in a life level, darkness is chaos, pain, suffering, fighting, divisiveness, and death. The result of our disconnection from the person disconnects from the tree of life, What are they connecting with? Death and all the aspects, chaos, confusion, etc., etc. So it's simple. The choice is life or death. Connect with the tree of life, disconnect from the tree of life. Reactive or proactive. So going back, the Middle East, now we understand, has been designated on a spiritual level the center energy, the energy that supports, if we'll connect with it, that will help us have strength to be able to balance our desire to receive and our desire to share. Our vessel nature, which is inherent, and the added nature, which is the light, which is what fills our vessel. So why is there so much conflict in the Middle East? I hope it's more clear now, because the greatest light exists there. And where there's the greatest light, there's going to be the greatest challenge. Because that opponent is programmed to go where there's the greatest light, or when light's about to be revealed, to go there and distract people. And distraction will be anger, jealousy, insecurity, fear, to the extreme of hatred and violence and all of that. That's a distraction from the light that we are able to reveal, and the challenges are the opportunity to reveal. Just checking. So don't be discouraged. The point of what we're learning now is, once you understand how the system works, then you can use it for your benefit. I remember as a kid, I used to watch my parents drive the car. You remember before you knew how to drive? I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years old. And then, of course, for some of us, we used to jump in the car when nobody was in the car, and we used to play like we were driving, which meant we were just imitating them, playing with the gears and, pretending like we were steering the car. Didn't go anywhere, but we were trying to imitate. Because why? Of course, they wouldn't give us the keys because we didn't understand how to operate the system. So, at least when I was growing up, we had to take in high school driver's education. So they explained to us how the system works, etc. And then once you understand, now you have control. So ideally, you and I get in the car. We want to drive here to the Center for Spiritual Sunday, or those of you online, wherever you go. Who's in control of where the car goes? We are. We push the gas, we push the brake, we put it in gear, we steer the steering wheel. So then let's ask ourselves, why then do people get in accidents if they're controlling the car? Consciousness is everything, right? Playing with the radio, modern terms texting, looking at the messages, looking at the scenery somewhere, being unconscious, unaware. We're still controlling the car, but either controlling it in the right direction, the wrong direction, the protective way or the unprotected way. It's still us. So how much more when it comes to driving our life, driving our soul? We are the creators of our life. We've been given the power of God's creative ability by the light that's inside of us. Every thought, word, and action is creating our life, forming the physical world from our point of view to whatever it shows up. The same way your car goes where you direct it. Even in an accident, I know some of you are going, no, but the accident was the other guy, went through the red light or whatever it was. There has to be, and again, we're not putting blame or judging, we're just understanding so that we can avoid accidents and pain, suffering, and death. Had to be some way, shape, or form, some decision that was made prior to that moment of meeting in the intersection, where maybe you speed up the car, maybe you slowed down the car, maybe you did something, or maybe even you weren't looking. I was taught, when I was taught driving, defensive driving. Look out for, stupid people who may be texting in our term, may be looking somewhere else, may be not paying attention. Be aware. Be aware. I tried to teach my kids that. But people just drive and they're unconscious. They're just driving. Here's my lane. I got to go forward. And that's all they're looking at. They're not looking at the guy who's starting to weave back and forth in the other lane to see, oh, they might cross the line like that. More conscious, more protection. More spiritually conscious, more blessing. Because we learn in the center how to balance, create that central column, which means our light is being revealed. And if the light is being revealed, you're on a higher level spiritually, more light and blessing, less chaos. It's not a difficult concept. The hard part is doing. So, two people in a conflict. Oh. So let's start like this. Where's our spiritual Middle East? Okay, we can look out there and whatever you think about what's going on and has been going on in the Middle East for centuries and millennium, whatever it is. But where's our Middle East? Because we are the microcosm of the macrocosm, even relative to the world. What's going on in the world around us, you and I often talk about, is just a reflection of me. I want to change me and have more blessing. I got to think of everything out there as a mirror. So I see hatred out there. I got to see, where am I hateful? There's jealousy out there. I've got to look at myself. Where's my jealousy? It may not be on their level, but it's the same material. Jealousy is jealousy, just larger or smaller. Anger is anger, just a little bit of being perturbed or major violence, but it's still all the same. So where's our Middle East? So we have to remind ourselves, why does something trigger us? Somebody drives the way we don't like, or somebody says something that we take wrong and then we get angry or we get resentful or upset at them. Why? Why do we react? Because like we said with Adam and Eve, you and I, every time we've been reactive, anger, jealousy, ego, fear, guilt, shame, greed, whatever you want to call it, we inflict a wound on ourselves, a spiritual wound. We call it a covering. It covers up a piece of our soul. The light of our soul wants out. It wants to share. It wants to give us blessing. But we inflict those wounds. So how do you heal a wound? We learn from Kabbalah 1. Every challenge comes our way is an opportunity to heal that wound. But you've got to think, right? If a person goes to the doctor with a broken finger, is it going to be painless? And don't tell me they're going to shoot him up with painkillers. But in simple terms, it's going to be painless to fix it? No. It's not going to be painless. But it's not painful because of the doctor. It's painful because of the wound. So the same thing. A challenge comes along, it pushes that wound. Which means if the wound was created through anger, person can only heal it when they're first feeling the anger, and then they transform it into kindness, compassion, forgiveness. They can only heal the wound of jealousy when something makes them, activates their wound of jealousy, and instead of acting jealous, they act with gratitude, appreciation for the other person's good and for all their own blessings. That's the only way. That's what it's there for. But if you don't feel your own wounds, that like pain, you know, they say with some athletes, they have broken ankles, this, that, and they shoot them up with painkillers so they can still go out and play in the game. Did the break disappear? No. They still have the wound, but now they just don't feel it. Not good, because after the pain reliever wears off, it's going to be more painful because they kept running on it or whatever it was. So the same thing, the more we think, oh, instant gratification. So I of anger, and then somebody pushes that button, they feel angry, but they act angry again. It's like an instant pain reliever, because in the moment you get temporary relief, and then it's short term. Like the pain medicine, it disappears at some point, and they got to take it again, and take it again. No, the simplest thing is the smartest thing, heal the wound. You heal the wound, then you don't need the pain reliever, and you don't have the pain. So that's what you and I are learning here in the center. But what does it entail? Feeling reactive, feeling you like you just want that knee-jerk response. But in that moment, having enough consciousness to pause. Don't knee-jerk respond. And it's not easy, but like everything else, if you don't train yourself, then basically it will be impossible. Why do professional athletes have to practice? They're professional. Top of their profession. Because they still have to be better and better. They have to train so they don't do the wrong things unthinking. Right? So they're better and more proficient at their sport. So the same with you and I. We came in this world to be 100% proficient at just shining the light like the Creator does. Unconditionally, towards everyone and everything, in under all circumstances. Now I wanted to point out something, and I changed the example to be 21st century. I was going to talk about snail mail, but then I realized, no, I better talk about email and see if I can make it work. So two people, you're sitting in an office with somebody. You know, every now and then, when I'm taking a walk and I'm listening to some of the classes from the Rav or Karen or Michael Berg, you know, different classes, I send myself a note. If I want to remember something, I will send myself an email so I won't forget. Okay? Now, I just check if you guys do the same thing. Okay, maybe I'm just the oddball. Anyway, you send yourself a message. So here's the example. Two people sitting in this, you know, same desk, they're sharing a desk at work, and they're both sending themselves an email, right, to themselves. So where does it go? If you and I are sitting at the same table, and even we're sharing the computer, so to speak, right? But I'm sending myself a reminder email, and you're sending yourself a reminder email. Same moment, same time, same set of circumstances. But does my email go to you and your email go to me? No or no? See, that's a surprise in Spiritual Sunday, right? It's not yes or yes. It doesn't. My email goes to me, yours goes to you, even though it's the same computer, even though it's the same circumstances. So the same thing in life. When you and that person, you're in the same place, same things, in the same situation. But what you say and do sends you a personal email from the universe of exactly what you wrote. So you scream and yell, it's going to make a circuit come back to you screaming and yelling. Not necessarily from them, and not necessarily in that moment. Could be the next day, could be weeks later, sometimes it could be years. But it's going to make a circuit and come back to you because it was email addressed to you. They, who were right there, who did that thing that pushed your anger button, they just sent themselves a same email. They sent themselves an email of maybe more intense anger, or maybe they were in fear and therefore they spouted whatever they said that pushed your anger button. So their email of fear is going to go around, and something else is going to come back to them maybe a week later that's going to wake fear in them, their self-inflicted wound that they didn't heal, and they're going to feel that same wound. They're going to feel fearful again. And then they have another opportunity. Pause. Instead of acting fearful, shine the light and act with some kind of trust, confidence. Face the fear, confront the fear, overcome the fear, or overcome the anger or the jealousy or the sense of lack and poverty. Whatever it is. Pause and shine light. Pause and shine light. So going back to the balance, just I want to make sure you get it. Somebody triggers you and pushes that self-inflicted wound from lifetimes. Lifetimes. Think of what you came in this lifetime. As a kid, were you angry? Were you insecure? Were you jealous? Whatever. Whatever you thought came from a past life. And that probably came some from past lives before that. So you and I are learning here how to fix every lifetime of hurt, anger, jealousy, greed, whatever it may have been, that does what? Blocks our heart. Because if you think about it, why do you act with anger? Because your heart wasn't open towards that person. Why? Because the voice in your head, the opponent, Satan, evil inclination, all the names, the adversary, the saboteur says, don't let them talk to you like that. Don't let them do that to you. So you just react again in anger. It's rational and justified from the outside, but from the inside, it just causes you more grief because it's an email to yourself. So now you got another email on top of the previous emails. If you're following the idea, that's what the tikkun process is. It keeps going around and around and around. You find yourself in the same situation till you change it, till you do something different, till you start shining light, because you want all the blessings that the light entails. So We want to start sending ourselves emails of love, kindness, and compassion. Even if the person in front of us did something that pushed our previous wounds, we want to heal the wounds, not keep adding to it. And again, for those of you newer or maybe whatever you're feeling, doesn't mean you have to hang out with those people, doesn't mean what they're doing is the right thing, doesn't mean you got to be friends, doesn't mean you're acknowledging what they did was okay, or just screaming, no, it's not okay. No, you're taking the greatest advantage of the situation to improve your life. Because when you walk away from them, even if you never see them again, the email is still coming back to you. So wherever you go, the email will be delivered. So it's obviously more beneficial to send emails of love, kindness, compassion, like we affirm. Love, generosity, forgiveness, tolerance, all that. So wherever I go, that's going to be what comes back to me. In spite of that person. Whatever they did will come back to them. I don't want to get caught in their negativity. I want more blessing, less chaos when I walk away. That's what we're learning to do. But now let's think about it. When we're triggered, what is it? We call it desire to receive oneself alone. Instant gratification means I want something, right? Why? Because I feel I just lost something. If you're holding on to something and somebody comes and takes it out of your hand, do you feel fulfilled? No, you feel empty, because what you had was something you thought, oh, it was good for you, or made you happy, even for the moment. They take it away, you now feel empty, which means what's being activated? Desire to receive. My empty vessel wants to be filled. So the voice of the opponent says, get it instant. Scream at them, yell at them, whatever it may be, so you get instant gratification. Refill that. You can't take something from someone and expect them to be happy with it. You got to fill that empty space with something. So if you look at history, why is there, not only in the Middle East, but all over the world, why is it fighting, conflict? Because somebody fought and took it away. They felt they got less, have it empty. They wait till a certain time, and then they fight back to get back what was taken from them. Another war, another conflict or whatever, and then they get it back. But if it's all out of reactivity, nobody's happy, because nobody replaced it with light. What you and I are learning when you say pause, that person acted in a nasty way because they felt empty. Whatever reason, not necessarily something you did, they just happened to walk in front of you and their feeling of emptiness woke up. Because of whatever that opponent put in their mind, they looked at you and said, oh, you pushed their button. But they don't realize it's self-inflicted. They don't realize the blessing that's waiting for them. So they just scream and yell. Right? And then you got to scream and yell back. And then they got to scream and yell, and that's history. Right? You got what I want, take it. No. So we're learning, once they did whatever it is, and you're feeling the reactive button being pushed, pause, shine light. You want the light to fill your vessel, to be revealed in your life. Not just instant gratification. So when you're shining light of forgiveness, even though they did something horrible, you walk away, what's the email going to come back to you? Forgiveness. And don't tell me there's nothing you need forgiveness for. If you're in the physical body, there's got to be something somewhere. So that's going to come to you. The beauty is, as you sent more light, you took away some of your darkness, you added more blessing, you're on a higher spiritual level, so there's less negativity that has to be attracted to you to fix the same thing. And what happened to them? You woke up in them more light, because like attracts like. So you send light to somebody, it goes directly to their soul and wakes up light. When enough of their light is awakened, they will start to do like we do, break their negativity. They'll act with greater kindness or love or compassion or forgiveness or generosity or gratitude or appreciation. Because that's the nature of the Creator inside of us. The Creator didn't implant in anybody hatred, violence, judgment, anger, guilt, shame, insecurity, greed. No. The only thing implanted in us, love, kindness, and compassion and all the good things. Unconditional love. So you want to draw it out of somebody, you've got to extend it towards them. More unconditional love you shine out, the more it's going to awaken in them. Don't look, though, for instant results. Well, I sent them light of forgiveness. How come they didn't apologize right away? No, your circuit is yours and theirs is theirs. Maybe they got a slow internet. You follow? So something woke up, it just takes a little longer for them to show it. But when you walk away, it goes with you. That's what we've got to remember. I create my world, they're creating theirs. So you don't want to leave people with that empty space. We've got to understand there's only one adversary. There's only one enemy, one saboteur, one whatever you want to call it, troublemaker. It's that thing that's in each of our heads, and that's why we say consciousness is everything. I was just listening to one of the classes from my teacher, the Rav, from years back, and he was talking about war, right? Because he used to like that idea. He says, if a person's planning, if a person wants angry at this other person or another country, and this was the Rav's words, only an imbecile would just send the soldiers out there. Just go. No, what do they do first? Like in America, you have the Pentagon. There's a war room where the generals or whatever, they all get together and they plot and plan strategy how to defeat an enemy, right? Well, what does that mean? They're starting with consciousness. Plotting and planning is first in the head. Then they go out and send the soldiers. So the Rav said only an imbecile would just send people out there. We act like an imbecile when we just react. Somebody pushes our anger button. Tell me you've never had that kind of trouble. You scream at the wrong person, right? You scream at, not you. Somebody, road rage. What was road rage? Somebody gets angry because they didn't like the way the other driver did, but the guy who gets out of the other car that they banged and honked at and everything else is 8 feet tall and, solid muscle and boom, like this. Was it smart to yell at them? No, an imbecile. You understand? Reactive behavior is imbecile. Because maybe not on the physical, but if you keep in mind the circuit, the personal email that you sent, it's stupid to send yourself an email of anger, jealousy, hatred, violence, whatever. Silly, stupid. So the war is still here. We've got to remember, humanity is one team. There was only one being that then split into Adam and Eve and then split into 8 billion bodies, but it's still only one soul. So if we all fight that same adversary, personally, I fight mine and overcome it, you fight yours and overcome it, we're weakening the power of the worldwide adversary. That's the only way. You can read in the Bible the story of Jacob and Esau. Twins from the same belly of the mother Rebecca. But one spiritually is considered the positive, right, the sharing, the other is the negative, right, the reactive. And it says that Esau is always after Jacob. Here. So how do we learn it Kabbalistically? Those two voices in our head. The true voice of our soul is always in conflict with the voice of the opponent. Until what? The Zohar teaches us. We can make the voice of the opponent serve us instead of oppose us. By acting like the light all the time. By opening our heart, and the Zohar calls it the eyes of our heart, to be able to see. The other person, whoever they are, is only acting in a negative way because their heart is closed. They've covered themselves, the soul, with so many covers that they don't even realize that they have the ability to have lasting fulfillment. So they're looking for instant gratification with either minor reactive behavior or major horrific behavior. But it's all the same. So open up the eyes of your heart, you start to see, wait, they're a reflection of me. They're part of my soul. They're my teammates. I want them on my team, but I want their bad behavior to go away. So, only sending light. Jacob and Esau. We read in the Bible, Esau wanted to kill Jacob, and again, it's coded. Jacob sent, it says angels, sent angels. Some people try and say it's messengers. Same difference. Sent messengers of light to Esau. So much light that even though Esau initially wanted to strangle and kill Jacob, when they met, all he could do was kiss him. So the Zohar explains, when we give in to our good inclination, the light of sharing unconditionally, we will turn our enemies to be peaceful with us. But a person acts reactively, they make more enemies. So it's up to us. It's only light will remove darkness and reveal illumination. It's only light that can break the shells of the hurt, the fear, the anger we've carried for lifetimes, that imprison our hearts and hide the light of our soul. And it's only the light that can stop the chaos and confusion, the disorientation, the imbalance that all of us have to some extent. If consciousness is everything, there's no weapon more powerful than the light. And within the aspect of the light, no weapon more powerful against darkness, pain, suffering, and death than the Zohar. Because it's the thing that will destroy the angel of death, which is the only true enemy of humanity, creating chaos, fighting, all the negativity. So, as we'll hold the thought, which you know is the mission of the center, the more we spread the Zohar, the more you and I, who have the greater awareness, scanning the Zohar, spreading the Zohar, and sharing it, and projecting that light into the world, the faster we dissolve the angel of death. Because the angel of death is not permanent. It's not a construct of the Creator. Whatever is constructed from the Creator is permanent. Our soul, the light of fulfillment. The angel of death is not. But the faster we'll spread the Zohar, and the faster you and I will scan and project that light, the faster we dissolve the angel of death, and we allow it to show up as the angel of life. And when the angel of life rules the world again, which it started with originally, life, then humanity will live as God desired, in love, peace, kindness, compassion, and unity forever. God bless. Thank you. So let's speed up the process. And again, as we do every Sunday, I appreciate those of you, I know many of you are on a regular basis, and some of you just giving when you can. But if anything touched your heart and soul and you understand the power of the light, and really, if you've looked online, go to Kabbalah.com. I know we're putting testimonials. And there was one that was shown on Israeli television, so we could talk about it. But there was a woman, with what went on over there. She took a Zohar, she hid in a closet for 12 hours. Everything around her was destroyed. All of the neighborhood, and sadly all the people in her community, were taken hostage or killed. And she survived. And she says it was just a closet. They bombed her front door with a grenade. They walked in, she could hear them. They looked around, and they left. And she sat there reading the Zohar and asking Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai for support and protection. And she said, you could see the interview, she said, light came out of the Zohar. And she had peace. The 12 hours she was just reading Zohar, reading Zohar, reading Zohar, and it brought a protective shield. So that's only one of the thousands of stories over all the years I'm in the center of the power of the Zohar. So all we're asking you, help us spread the Zohar. When there's enough light, like we just said, light is the only thing that will take away darkness. So the faster we spread the Zohar, the faster the darkness goes away. It's very simple. It's not complicated. And because of all the chaos that's been going on in the last few years, been quite a uptick in the spread of the Zohar. I think I told you last week, and I'll keep reminding you, it's probably somewhat more, but I don't have the latest. But so far this year, Kabbalistic years, the last 7 weeks, we've distributed over 150,000 of these, and some of the other books also, Zohar books, 150,000. In all last year, we did barely 100,000. So as we all understand, sometimes it takes pain and suffering to wake us up to do something about it. What you and I can do, and the point of the center, is not have to have any more pain and suffering that's going on in the world now, that's going on even in our own life. Who wants to add to that? Just do the preemptive, proactive thing to heal. Heal. Open your heart. Let the eyes of your heart see. Humanity is wanting to be in peace and harmony. It's only those veils of hatred, anger, violence, insecurity, etc., that influence our negative behavior. The light will take it away. So let's take a moment to do our blessing on the offering. Those of you who are here, those of you who are online, I put the, here, let me just make sure. So do the meditations with us, and then please open your heart, ask your heart and soul how much you can give. And think, every Zohar goes out, is a dozen lives you're changing, and perhaps even saving literally. And then we'll do our meditation on the 72 names. So just hold your offering in your hand, remembering everything is a vessel. We are vessels, car, house, job, thoughts, they're all vessels. What they manifest is determined by our consciousness, how much light we inject into those vessels. So money is a vessel, and we want to now inject the light of gratitude, appreciation for all the blessings in our life, for all the abilities that we've been given to be able to have what we have, to be blessed as we're blessed, and to have the consciousness that by sharing the Zohar, sharing this light of Kabbalah, we'll remove the angel of death, and the angel of life will be able to show up and be the only power in this world. So inject this gift, this offering, with your love, the love from the heart of God inside you, that is unconditional, that through the projects of the center it will reach out to the heart of God inside every human being, awakening the greater awareness of the Creator inside, that the source of all blessings is inside waiting to be let out, and that humanity is truly one team of 8 billion people in the battle against the negative, destructive thoughts in our own head, not in the other person. And so we send this out into the world, that through the spread of the Zohar, we reunite the 8 billion pieces of the one soul in peace, harmony, unity, by preemptive, proactive, transformational sharing of unconditional love in all of its forms: forgiveness, tolerance, compassion. Did we strengthen our desire to see peace and harmony in the world in our lifetime? And together we say, Amen. So those of you who are unfamiliar, what you have in front of you is one of what's called the 72 names of God. Yes, it's made up of what most people say Hebrew or Aramaic letters, but we learn from the Zohar, from the Kabbalists, that they are just portals of the light of the Creator. Nanoparticles, the Rav would call them. And they just shine light. So in this case, it's Ain, Lamed, Mem. And combined together, they awaken the strength and the ability of overcoming our negative thoughts. Because as we said, consciousness is everything, and the negative actions start as a thought. So if we can transform the thoughts and listen only to the voice of the light inside of us, we can do more of those light behaviors and make our life better, and at the same time, other lives better. So just let them just be engraved in your mind's eye, Ain Lamed Mem. And then if I can ask you, sitting comfortably in your seat, hands comfortably on your lap, feet flat on the floor. Begin to relax into the light around you and in you. Taking a deep breath, breathing in through the nose. Hold the breath for a moment. Exhale through the mouth. Breathing in the light of the Creator through the air. Let it circulate from head to toe, awakening the light inside you to a new higher level. And as you exhale, letting go of whatever blockages, tension, and stress you may have been feeling. allowing yourself to relax, feeling a greater sense of peace, inner sense of serenity. Feel that light circulating in and through you. The greater, higher vibration awakening. And let's envision Ein, Lamed, Mem. These three particles of the light of the Creator, just above our head. If you can see the string of light connecting it to the endless world, that allowing them to shine this powerful light of the Creator, Ein, Lamed, Mem. The power to transform our negative thoughts to thoughts of love, kindness, and compassion. And now let's let it enter through the top of our head, and notice the transformation, the energy you feel as it settles in the mind, strengthening your connection to the voice of the Creator, the voice of your soul. See it dissipating, shutting off the voice of the opponent. More of the thoughts of greater love, kindness, forgiveness, generosity, compassion, care. And now let the Ein, Lamed, Mem, with this awakening in your mind, slowly travel through the rest of your body, healing many of the wounds you've carried with you for lifetimes that have been the triggers of the anger, the guilt, insecurity, ego. Ein, Lamed, Mem. That life is your opportunity to reveal your true potential, unconditional love, shining the fullest energy of your soul's light into the world, creating blessings of peace, love, prosperity, health, protection. And strengthening your ability to pause when triggered, to decide you only want loving, kind, blessed things coming back to you. So that you can act with greater unconditional love in the right form for each and every situation you're in. And thereby walking away, revealed more of your potential, experiencing more of your God-given blessings, and awakening the heart and soul of many more people around you. Together, let's shine this beacon of light out of our heart and soul to every person on earth, illuminating with unconditional love, the spiritual internet that has always existed between every person, all humanity, now consciously sending Ein Lamed Mem through that internet to everyone. And see, envision, feel the awakening and transformation that's taking place in them. More of their negative thoughts being transformed into proactive behavior. More of their desire to receive for oneself alone, transformed into actions of sharing their light. And see that the darkness is dissipating. And let's envision in our mind's eye that's being directed by the eyes of our heart to see the empty space of darkness between people being removed. Light filling all space, the revealed light surrounding all humanity. And all of us feeling the joy, the happiness, and the harmony that is meant to be. Allow yourself to sit in that space for a moment. Record it in your heart, your soul, and your mind. And together to anchor it in, solidify it. Take one more deep breath. And as you exhale, slowly opening your eyes. Those of you online, thank you for joining us. Please, in a few minutes, once we close the streaming, just go back to your Facebook page and just push share. Let it go out into cyberspace for those who are ready to see it, to awaken to this message, and to transform not only their life, but the world. So just share it out there, and in a day or two, it should be on the YouTube channel. God bless. Have an amazing week. Those of you who came out here to be with us in person, thank you for joining us. And again, God bless. Have a great week.
Thank you for joining us. If you liked what you saw, subscribe to this channel that you'll be notified when we post new videos. Share the video with your friends, they can also benefit. And check out the website, www.kabbalah.com, that's Kabbalah, for hundreds of articles and classes. Wish you an amazing day, and God bless.